The International Forum, the Pledge for Equal Representation at the Decision-Making, was organized in Ulaanbaatar on April 10 to 11. The forum was organized by the United Nations Development Programme with the support of Korea's International Cooperation Organization, or KOICA, and was held on April 11 at State House on the topic of legal reforms to ensure gender equality at the decision-making level.
The State House of Mongolia hosted the Pledge for Equal Representation in Decision-Making International Forum on April 11th. The forum aimed to address a pressing issue of gender equality in decision-making process and promote the inclusion of women's voices in policy-making and legislation. The forum was opened by Zandan Shatter, Speaker of Parliament, who highlighted the importance of gender equality as one of the key commitments of the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. He emphasized that half of the implementation period of the SDGs has already passed since its adoption in 2015, and it's crucial to accelerate progress towards achieving gender equality by 2030. Mongolia is a country that adheres to the approach of gender in development and has set important goals to address issues such as family violence, participation of girls in the labor market, and gender disparities. However, the implementation of these goals has been hindered by various challenges, including the pandemic situation. During the forum, representatives led by Ms. Elaine Kankevich, the resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme, and Fernand Casal-Bertois, associate professor of the University of Nottingham, exchanged views on the current status of gender equality in Mongolia and discussed the ways to promote women's participation in decision-making process.
So thank you very much. UNDP is very pleased with KOICA to be supporting this international forum. Today's session is focused very much on changes to the electoral legislation, so ensuring that the amendments that are done to the law on elections and the law on political parties bring about equal representation of women and men in the elected positions in the national parliament in Mongolia and the local parliament in Mongolia. Women make up 51% of Mongolia's population, and therefore it is their right to be equally represented in the parliament. And the international experience has shown that instituting quotas in the electoral legislation, and a higher quota the better, will bring better results of women being elected through the system. And therefore, many countries have proposals for 50% quotas, some have 40%, others have less. And the international experts recommend that having a higher quota, 40 or 50%, would be the best model, because that is the single highest determinant to really help to ensure that women reach parity in elections in a particular country.
I think, that is a very significant and important event, because we have seen that not only women but also male are committed to guarantee, gender equality and change the legislation in order to promote the participation of women in politics.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good day.
Well, I think that with the pledge that has been signed yesterday, there is a huge opportunity to put the first stone into this pyramid that will lead to a better representation of women, change, of course, the electoral law and the party law, and this will be also very important in order to try to convince, the citizenship of the importance of women and change, the political culture of the country.
According to gender statistics, Mongolia is ranked 113 out of 146 countries in the world in terms of gender differences in political participation, as issued by the World Economic Forum. As of January 1st, 2023, the average percentage of women in parliaments worldwide is 26.5%, while in Asia it is 21.2%. However, in Mongolia, only 17% of women are represented in the National Assembly, indicating the need of significant changes to ensure gender equality in decision-making processes. The forum highlighted the importance of the Council as a mechanism that allows women parliamentarians to voice their opinions and actively participate in the lawmaking and drafting processes. Through this Council, it is possible to proactively include women's perspectives and gender issues in all legislation, thus promoting equal representation in decision-making.
I think the challenges that Mongolia faces in terms of gender equality are not unique to Mongolia. Women all around the world face similar challenges. The complexity of those challenges could be different, the magnitude of those challenges could be different, but something that we all grapple with is the stereotypical perception of the fact that, or the perception that women are supposed to stay home and they are better caregivers, and as a result they should be the one who should be tending to the household and tending to the kids. So that's very basic, but it's everywhere, even in the most advanced countries. The second challenge is definitely when you talk about political participation of women, the other challenge is really about the type of electoral law and type of electoral systems that you have in the country, whether they are encouraging women to participate in politics or not. And something that I really closely look at is funding of political campaigns. So elections everywhere are getting very expensive, particularly in majoritarian kind of systems where you need a lot of money to campaign. And women often, given their socioeconomic conditions, given the lack of employment opportunities, given the lack of ownership of land or house or anything of property, women often do not have the resources to go out there and campaign as widely as men. On top of that, they also don't have access to the moneyed networks, so they often do not get enough private funding that men often could have access to.
The forum concluded with a commitment from the participants to continue working towards achieving gender equality in decision-making processes in Mongolia. The government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also announced plans to organize a meeting and conference of female foreign ministers in June, further promoting the support and development of women in the country. The Pledge for Equal Representation in Decision-Making International Forum served as a platform to address the urgent need for gender equality in Mongolia and reaffirmed the country's commitment to achieving the SDGs and ensuring women's active participation in decision-making processes. With concerted efforts from various stakeholders, Mongolia aims to make significant progress towards gender equality by 2030 and create a more inclusive and equitable society.